Well, why don't we get started? Thanks so much for coming today. We're really excited to see all your happy faces. My name is Beth White, and I'm the Director of Graduate Enrollment in the medical school, and I'm also one of the folks who works with our master's program in our Natural Sciences Interdisciplinary Master's Program. So we're really happy to see you, and I'm going to let Dr. Anyango Kamina introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. I am Anyango Kamina. I am the director of the International National
It's a mouthful.
Natural Sciences Interdisciplinary Master Program, and so I'm happy to be here with you all today to answer questions and to tell you more about our program.
Yeah, so we have some slides we'll go through, and I mean, this is a small enough group that I think we can be fairly, informal and taking questions from you all as you think of things as we're going through. But let me share our slides, and we will get going. Great. So we like to start with this slide because it's just such a gorgeous picture of our building. And I don't know how many of you are from the Buffalo area, but if you are, you probably have seen this in downtown Buffalo near the intersection of Main and Allen streets. It was built in, it's under 5 years old. We moved in 2017, 18. So it's a really gorgeous state-of-the-art facility. And I think it's pretty remarkable. It was a remarkable investment, I think, by UB and also the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus to kind of make this happen and sort of add one more really important participant to the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus landscape that we're a part of here. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in just a few minutes. I think that's one of the reasons why you should consider UB for your graduate study. Certainly, I think that being in the environment that we're in now in the healthcare corridor in downtown Buffalo is important, especially for students thinking about this program who might be thinking about further professional study in the health sciences. But I think there are other reasons as well. UB is a place that is remarkable, and I think in some important ways. We are an academic health center, which is a national designation for universities that offer a broad array of health professional training. And not only are we one of a small group of universities that have that designation, but we are one of the broadest. We have certainly a medical school, we have a dental school, but we also have things like nursing and the Roswell Park Cancer Institute, which does some graduate training. Our School of Social Works and social workers are on healthcare teams more and more. Our School of Public Health. So we really have so many healthcare options, and I think that's a really nice benefit to our students and gives you sort of a breadth of perspective in your training that you might not find at an institution maybe that doesn't have as many opportunities as we offer here. We have an internationally recognized faculty. We are small but mighty. Our faculty are very well funded and have really active training programs, which gives our trainees a lot of options in terms of the capstone projects that they might pursue, which is what you would be required to complete at the end of your master's program with us. And we also have a really innovative curriculum here. We're continually tweaking our curriculum. One of the benefits that Dr. Kamina will talk about of our program is the fact that it is broad and interdisciplinary and gives you so many options in terms of courses that you can take. So I think that's a real benefit to you as well. And this building, again, this is another photo showing sort of these lounges that exist in I think they're called learning landscapes. That might be their official name. But they are places for students to gather. We have really state-of-the-art laboratory space and classroom space in this building. So I think it's a really nice place for students to pursue their training. And combined with all of this rigor and cutting edge notion of the science that we practice here, we also are a very supportive place. Buffalo is a small enough city that I think we are in general very collegial. I think in the medical school, we're really committed to creating a really top-notch learning environment for our students so that you won't just be one of a large group, you'll be one of a small group that is known by our faculty and has a lot of one-on-one interactions with faculty as well, which I think is a really nice thing for you and helps prepare you for whatever your next steps would be after you finish the program. And with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Kamina.
All right, thank you, Beth. So all the things that kind of Beth talked about, we're going to see how we can I can highlight those components when I talk about the interdisciplinary program. And so what is the purpose of our program? And, it's a good program from anyone interested in an MS degree, but especially for individuals who are not really decided on what their next step is going to be. So now that you're done with undergrad, you have a bachelor's degree, what do you want to do next? And I think that, this program is interdisciplinary enough to be able to kind of help you maybe figure out what that next step is going to look like. The other thing is that it's a good program if you're preparing for professional school, whether this is medical, dental, or a PhD program. And why that is that you can be able to, bring up grades. So you're going to be taking courses, which I will talk about, that are kind of foundational in the things you're going to be learning in a PhD program, and you're going to be learning in a medical program. And so that's a good way to kind of do a master's and bring up those grades, but then also get research experience, because we do have this capstone component. So if you want to boost up your, exposure to research, if that's what you need to decide if you do want to continue with a PhD, etc., this is also a good program to apply to. The other reason why it's a good program is because of it's 3 semesters. I know that may feel long compared to other master's program, but it is set up like this because of the rigorous experience that you're going to have during the time that you're here. And then also it's a very flexible and customizable program, and I will talk about that in the next slide. All right, so what do these 3 semesters look like? And so this is just what it looks like credit-wise, but then, I'll walk you through what each single semester is going to look like. But first, I wanted to hit on why our program is flexible and customizable, and that's because you do get to attend seminars every semester for those 3 semesters that you're here, and you can customize how you want to, which seminars you want to attend. So if you're more clinical based and you want to go to med, you can just go to grand rounds between now and the end of that 3rd semester, and that can fulfill your semester participation requirements. Or if you're interested again in more basic sciences, you can go to more we have about 11 different disciplines in the Jacobs School, so you have a lot of access to that as well. And so the point of the seminars is for you to be able to now figure out what are you really into, whether you want to find out like how does OB-GYN look like, how does psychiatry looks like, how is research in biochemistry looking like, whatever it may be. That's a good opportunity for you to be able to learn about that further. By doing this, you can also help you figure out what you want to do with your capstone project. So now this is another part of that customizable component of our program, where you get to pick which kind of project you want to focus on for that, last semester that you are here. And we'll talk a lot more in detail about this in the next couple of slides, but I just wanted to show you the breakdown of the credits. So we have 11 credits that are to the 3 core foundational classes, and then 7 credits to journal clubs and seminars, 12 credits for electives and Reacher's Capstone. And so on the next slide, I'll start breaking down how that looks like per semester. So your first semester, fall semester, you're accepted into the program, this is what you will be doing. So you will either pick if you want to do cell biology or biochemistry. You will have to do both, but by the time you're done with the program, but you can pick which one you want to start with. And so those 2 courses, you will be taking them with other graduate students here. So it's a fairly large group of people. Also a good opportunity to be able to have people to create study groups and work together, etc. You'll also be taking the genetics and genomics course, as well as an introduction to responsible conduct of research. And so these are, again, classes you're going to be taking with other graduate students who are already here. And then you'll also be taking an interdisciplinary seminar with me, actually, as the instructor. And in this seminar, what we do is we have papers that we read, and then each of you is assigned a particular paper, and then you present it. And this is a great opportunity to practice scientific communication, a great opportunity, again, to look at the different research that's being done, maybe here in terms of a collaboration, or somewhere else that could interest you and could help you decide if that's where you want to go. We actually had one of our students who just took the seminar this past semester, and because of the topic that was being discussed, it actually just led her to decide which faculty and what kind of research she wants to work on, because she was so excited about what we're doing in class. So again, this is an opportunity to kind of really help you figure out where are you headed, right? Like that's the main point of our program. And then also you'll be taking the seminar classes. So this is how your first semester will look like. So your second semester, the one thing that's staying is the participating in seminars, but your second semester is also mainly heavily on you taking electives. And so you can choose between any of these courses listed here for you to be able to, take these classes. So if you're interested more, like I said, in biochemistry or neuroscience or pharmacology, there are classes that you can be able to take to fulfill the credit requirement, but then also give you the exposure of what you're looking for to see if any of these areas interest you, either research-wise or in a more clinical sense. The good thing about our program is that you're not just limited to these electives. You can also decide to take some electives outside of the Jacob School. And so you can take electives from biology, which is in the College of Arts and Sciences, in epidemiology or biology or sciences. So again, you have a lot of options here to really customize the kind of experience that you want to have in courses and also in the seminars that you attend. And then next slide. All right, so your third semester is now, this is the last semester, so if you took, cell bio in the first semester, you'll be taking biochemistry in the third semester and vice versa. So you will have to complete those two courses. And then you will continue taking the seminar course, as I mentioned before. You also have 1 to 6 credits of electives. But then the other thing that's now added to your requirements is to now do this capstone project. And so I'm going to spend a little bit more time talking about that. So a capstone project, you can begin working on this before the final semester. And what this means is that, say, again, you kind of realize during that first semester, you're like, from whatever I learned in the seminar, whatever I learned from journal club, or whatever I learned in class, I'm interested in doing research and maybe boosting my my experience so I can use that to apply to a PhD program. If you let us know that in time, you can actually start your research project earlier than that third semester. We can have you start, the second semester and do it for a whole year to kind of really gain that experience and really fully know if that's, the route that you want to go. And so this is an opportunity for you to be able to integrate some of the core concepts between the medical and biomedical sciences. And what happens is that at the end of your capstone project, you will be submitting a proposal to us about basically that experience. And how does that proposal look like? So you may choose from several different formats, and you can do a meta-analysis of research or publication related to a specific health problem. You can do a summary of research projects that you've completed in one of the labs. You can format your proposal to look like a grant proposal, or it can be a project that you developed that you're writing about. How does this look like, as an example? So say that you, again, want to be in a more clinical setting. You work with a faculty who is a clinician and they work with patients and they do a lot of patient studies. They collect samples for this particular disease that they're studying. So you can write about that experience and write about, I did the literature review to find out that this is what, the gap in knowledge that's leading to these studies. And then this is what I participated in. If you're in a wet lab, this is where you can do a summary of the independent research project. You can work with a current graduate student or master students or postdoc, etc., who's in the lab already, and they give you a piece of their project for you to write about, for you to work on. So whether it's like cloning or working with cells or mice, if you want to work with animals, then you write about that in your project. So again, you can be able to pick from a range of different things that interest you, and we'll work with you to get it in a proposal format. And I'll turn it back over to my colleague, Beth.
Okay. So I'd like to just talk a little bit too about the admissions process to prepare you for that. And I didn't ask at the beginning, I don't know when all of you would be thinking about applying, but our application is already open. So it may be that you have already started your application for fall of 2022, but if you haven't, there's still time to apply. But let's talk a little bit first maybe about, what is it that we will be looking at in reviewing your application, and what are the things you should be focusing on as you prepare the application? So first of all, grades. Certainly we are going to be looking at your overall, your cumulative undergraduate GPA. And we will also kind of break that down to look at how you've done in the math and science courses that are the most relevant to the coursework that you'd be taking in this program. But we know that this program, especially for students who maybe are coming at this where they know they want to go to medical school or dental school, and maybe there were some stumbles as an undergrad, maybe you just had a bad semester, or there were some experiences or circumstances that were kind of getting in the way of you being as successful as you could be. Then when you apply to this program, we know that you're not going to be a straight A perfect student, because if you were that student, you probably would be applying directly to medical school. So one of the points of this program is to really give students like that a place to improve their record, to really get into graduate level courses and understand what they need to do to study well, to be prepared so that they're successful. So one of the things we will look at as a committee really carefully is the trajectory of your GPA. So what's more important to us than just the number of your cumulative GPA is what kind of trends were there? Did you struggle as a freshman? And then we can see that as over the course of your undergraduate careers, you obviously matured and learned, and maybe your life situation was in a better place where you were able to really show us what you're capable of in those later years. So all of that comes into play. It's a very holistic admissions process. We aren't really as concerned with numbers as we are the sort of whole person that you are and what you bring to the application. And then when we're looking at your letters of recommendation, we do require 3 of them. So you want to be thinking about who those folks should be if you haven't started the process yet. Ideally, these would be letters from academic mentors. If you have research experience where you've worked in a laboratory, a research mentor is a good person. Faculty members who knew you especially well. Maybe you took several classes with a particular faculty member and they know you and know your work and know what you're capable of. Those kinds of folks are ideal letter writers in our process. Ideally, we're looking for letters that are going to attest to your work ethic, how you work on teams, if you have the critical thinking skills that would make you a good scientist or a good healthcare practitioner. All of those things are what make a strong letter for our committee. The other thing I always like to share here is it's really good to be thinking about this in advance. And my own son is a freshman in college right now, and I keep telling him, you have to get to know your faculty members. You don't want to just sit back and be passive in those classes. You want to make sure you are developing those relationships. So planning ahead to make sure there are going to be faculty, who can write those letters for you when the time comes, whether that's for graduate school or jobs or anything else. Those people are going to be important contacts for you as you navigate the next steps after your bachelor's degree. And we're also going to require a personal statement. And I think for us in a holistic admissions review process, I think the personal statement is particularly important. Again, we're not looking at objective numbers as much as we are sort of your attestation of why you want to do this, what your goals are, and what experiences you've had that really prepare you for this type of a graduate program. So we want you to tell us, what are your future plans? And again, you might not know, and maybe part of the reason you're applying to this program is because you're not sure. You love science, you're not sure if that should lead you in a more clinical path or in a more basic science research focus. But tell us what you have done and what you're hoping to do. And then tell us how this program in particular you think would help you achieve your goals. And this is a really good place as well to address any of those barriers and stumbles that you may have had. I think that sometimes undergraduates feel like they should maybe not be as upfront about any struggles that they had. But it really helps the admissions committee to understand what we're seeing on a transcript if we know what was going on for you. So you don't have to give us like every nook and cranny of your personal life, but you do want to give us a sense of, what was going on that second semester freshman year when we can see that your grades were a lot lower than they might have been in the other semesters. The committee's going to be scratching its head unless you give us some context to try to understand that. So I do encourage you to be open in sharing some of those stumbles in that application and in that statement. And a little bit more about some tips and timelines for the application. As I mentioned, it is currently open for fall of 2022. We do accept new students for the fall semester only. This is a fall semester start for this program. Our application deadline is April 1st, so there's still plenty of time to kind of get this process pulled together for fall of 2022. And we do look at applications chronologically. So the earlier you get all of your documentation in, the better that will be. So what you'll do is work on our online application system to start that application. You can save it. And what I always certainly encourage is that you get your letter writers in there as early as possible. You don't have to be ready to submit the application and say, I'm ready to be considered. But as soon as you put in letter writers' names and email addresses, they will get those requests for your letters. And you know that we know that getting those letters for recommendation is sometimes the last stumbling block for students. It's the one thing that's out of your control. So the earlier you can give faculty their notices so they have time, because of course they're very busy, it's just a good idea to give them as much notice as possible. So make sure you get in there at least to get your application going and get those letter writers into your application, even if you're not ready to submit it yet. But make sure you submit it no later than April 1st. Our application review process will begin in March. So if you do complete the application earlier, we'll be looking at your application sooner, and the committee would consider it. And we will make our decisions based on the information that you've provided and the supporting documents that you provide with your application. And it is a rolling admission basis as well. So, you know, we don't pick one date where we issue our offers of admission. We will kind of, as your application is complete and as the committee considers it and makes its decision, we will notify you of those decisions. So if you are applying or have applied, I would say March is probably the earliest you'd hear from us, but it could be a little later depending on the numbers that we receive in the applicant pool in any given year. Okay. So at this point, we will just, I think, take any questions that you have. And I am going to, you can certainly, we encourage you to jot down our email addresses. So Dr. Kamina is the program director and I'm the application coordinator. So questions you have about the application process can come to me, but any other questions about the program, you'd want to send those to Dr. Kamina. We're both really nice and helpful people, so we'd be happy to hear from you. But I encourage you to ask us any other questions you might have. Feel free to use the chat or you can unmute yourself. Either way is perfectly fine.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So I have one question for the personal statement. So because of this program is like a holistic program, and if I write my experience, like which experience should I put first to be considered like good candidate for this program?
Can you elaborate on what you mean by which experience to put first?
Yeah, because like for me, I worked in like a pharmaceutical industry, so I have like different experiences related to like this field. So I would like to ask which experience I should focus to write on my essay.
I mean, I think that has to come from you in the sense that, you know, as Beth mentioned, is that this is a holistic review. So imagine you've given us your transcript, it's all good. You have your letters of recommendation, it's all good. And so you don't really have to talk about your grades or anything like that. Let's just put it as an example. But now you want to do the master's program and you want to go to medical school or you want to go to do research. So that's the part of the story that you haven't told us from anything else that you've submitted, right? So now you get to kind of add, okay, I came from this pharmaceutical background. I really loved it, and because of that, I realized that I want to do this, hence why I'm applying to your program because it will help me do blah, blah, blah. So that's how you can add that to the story. So I think, you know, your personal statement is for us to get to know you. And as Beth said, like why you're applying to our program and why we are a good fit to help you achieve that next goal. But it's also that space to be able to kind of, you know, show us who you are beyond like grades and beyond what the letters of recommenders say. It's a space for you to also be you. So I think that's how you should look at it.
Yeah, and personal statements are, you know, they really run the gamut. There are students who write them in sort of a chronological way, kind of highlighting their experiences over the course of their undergraduate career, then whatever they did following their bachelor's. But it really kind of depends on your personal experiences, I think. So I don't think there's any right or wrong answer to how you craft it. I think it's really individual to your own experiences and what you're hoping to achieve.
All right, thank you.
Great. Maybe I can ask a question of all of you and put you on the spot. Like, I'm curious, for those of you who are here, who do we have who's interested in maybe a more medical school, dental school, like a clinically oriented track versus maybe someone who's thinking about a PhD versus a clinical track and trying to maybe discern what your next best path will be. So how about hands raised? How about medical school, dental school, like a professional training program?
All right.
All right. Anybody who's thinking about PhD or basic science research as an interest in a potential path? Jiyun, okay, great.
Right.
Good.
Those who are weak, whose video we can't, so you can use the reactions.
Yes, or chat. You can tell us in the
Yeah,
chat too. It's okay if your camera's not on, that's totally fine, but
yeah.
good. Okay. And I mean, I think that probably reflects, we do have a good number of students in the program who are thinking about a medical school path, certainly. And we've had a student who pursued dental school as well. But you know, we've had one student that we have right now for sure kind of discovered her love of research once she was here, and she's really excited about it, and we're excited for her. So we kind of can cover both of those scenarios. Anything else? Has anybody already started their application for fall of 2022? Not yet? Okay.
I actually submitted my application, but I need to finish the personal statement and my resume, and I'm good to go.
Okay, great.
I'm working on my resume and personal statement, but I did not start the application process.
Yeah. Well, it's good to work on those first because you kind of need to have those ready before you pull the trigger and actually submit it. So.
Yes, and talk to your letter writers. So we have a question in the chat. It says, if you're thinking of a medical school path, does your program offer MCAT tutoring or prep courses? So the quick answer is our program specifically, no. But do we know of programs that do that? And, you know, we're kind of seeing how we can partner with them to have our students participate in that. Yes. So there are programs here at UB that do offer MCAT tutoring and prep courses. I think it's mainly tutoring, right? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. I don't think it's like a formal prep course, like a Kaplan style thing, but yeah. So I would say not currently, but that's something that down the road we hope that we can look into and maybe develop through those partnerships.
Yeah. And the other thing, oh, sorry, Beth.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
The other thing is that the medical school, since we're here, you know, in the same building, they do offer, so they did their first mock MCAT test that I think was advertised all around all the schools here in Buffalo. So there are a lot of students who were able to come in and actually take that. And, you know, this is I think their first time actually doing it in person since we've been, you know, quarantined, you know, on lockdown. But so there are opportunities to be able to participate in kind of MCAT, med prep events and such while you're here because once you're part of our program, you have access to all of these things as well.
Do we have like during summer, do we have like a internship opportunity?
Not through us, but since you did mention you're interested in research, so let's say you want to start your research project early. After your first semester, you identify a faculty member that you want to work with. Because you want to go that PhD route, you can have a conversation with them to say, I want to really get this experience, and can I, you know, stay and continue to work with you over the summer on this? And usually they say yes. So then you'll be able to have that essentially year-long experience doing research in their lab.
Great, thank you.
One more thing I'll add on the personal statement too is making sure that as you're working on those, I know those are not easy to write. It's really difficult to write a good personal statement. You feel really vulnerable as you're doing it, and you're never sure if you're quite getting it right. So I always encourage students to talk to academic advisors or faculty that they feel close with, to have them take a look at it, get another set of eyes on it, make suggestions and edits. I think that all of that is smart in trying to craft the strongest statement that you can. So that's a good thing to take advantage of too, is of those resources. And another reason to kind of have those relationships with at least, you know, you're not going to know all of your faculty members or in depth, or all of your advisors, but hopefully there are a couple of that you would feel comfortable approaching for some help with some of those kinds of things. Okay. Well, I'm going to, oh, we've got a question from Queenie about capstone projects. Are the capstone projects like symposium?
So no, they are, so a symposium is essentially, you do a research project and then you get together as a group and you present it with that particular group or maybe a larger group, etc. But no, you will not be presenting your capstone. You will be writing about it and submitting it, to us for grading. Also, your faculty member will be involved in grading it as well because they're the ones who have worked with you. They see you and know you and know what you've been working on a little bit more in depth. All we get to see is what you wrote. So it's a grade that you'll receive between the faculty mentor that you worked with as well as us in terms of like completing it based on our requirements. If you are in a wet lab environment, so you're in basic sciences, you're working in the lab with somebody and you work on this project, you can be able to stay and continue on beyond your time with us and doing the capstone, and there's a conference that they're going to, etc. Those are again opportunities that you can have and be able to present the work that you did in that particular lab. But doing a symposium or anything in that kind of capacity is not a requirement for our program.
I just pasted I pasted the information from those slides in the chat so you can kind of save our email addresses if you need them. And I'm also going to paste the link to our application here as well, so you have it in case you haven't already seen it. That's just to our website, but just go right to the apply link and that'll take you to the online application. Yeah, so it's still early enough, right? It's January, what's today? January 25th, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got plenty of time before our April 1st deadline for fall of 2022. So we do encourage you to get those applications submitted. We'd really love to see them. And we're here, both of us are available to answer any additional questions you might think of after the session today.
Yeah.
Queenie's asking about support.
Yep, so Queenie asked, what type of support do you have for the students? So there are different kinds. There's professional development support, which is, the scientific communication, grant writing. I forgot what CERTL stands for. I think that is grant writing.
I'm not going to attempt it, but it's a big acronym.
We have this program called CLIMB. So these are more professional based. It's called CLIMB, Collaborative Learning and Mentoring in the Biomedical Sciences, and they have a master's program component where you get together with other master's students. So from not just from our interdisciplinary program, but from other disciplines here in the Jacob School, and you work on things such as time management. So how to, if that's something that you've struggled with for a while, and also, managing your time while in a graduate program is a little bit different than when you're in undergrad, because the courses, the pace is much faster, unless you're the same faculty here at UB if you went here. But there's just some things that are going to be a little bit different. And so you get to have other peers with you in terms of like adjusting to graduate school. You get to learn about the, academic resources available here at UB. You learn about keeping lab notebooks if you're in a lab environment, etc. So a good thing about that is that you are networking with other master students and kind of getting to see, what you guys are all about. In terms of other student support, so maybe let's say accessibility services, mental health and wellness, we do have those supports. We've partnered with those offices to make sure that our students are, have the accommodations that they need, or if they, we have a psychiatrist here, a counselor here in the Jacob School that can work with students. So I think that as long as you are, you have access to our office and there's something that you need, you're able to say, hey, I saw this is missing, or this is something that I need, we will basically do what we can to be able to, get it for you, or have you connected. But those are just some that I've listed that are already active and taking place here.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know, Queenie, sometimes support could also mean scholarships, and I'm not sure if that's what you were asking. I mean, our master's students are self-funded, so that's important to know. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of scholarship opportunities for master's students at UB. So if that's what you were asking, I wanted to let you know that as well.
Yeah.
And then Beatrice is asking about getting an academic advisor to help you through the process.
I'm like, am I the academic advisor?
I guess
I play that role too.
Yeah, I think so. Right.
It's me.
Well, we should point out, I mean, our program is a fairly small program, so you're not one of a cohort of 50 students. So having Dr. Kamina be the academic advisor means that she's advising 10 to 15 students, not 50.
Yeah.
So I think that's important to note too, and I think that's personal attention is a really nice feature of our program.
Mhm. And I do get, if you were to message me or say I need to talk to you, I will, schedule the time and make that happen. But the next question I think Queenie asked was, do we get advisors to help with medical school application process? No, that's the simplest answer. I don't think we have, like in our program specifically, people who are, to help you apply in the application. You do have access through the graduate students. Oh, what is Beatrice's?
Yeah, so there's a graduate student organization for students interested in pre-health
Yes.
that is really active and does a lot of seminars and workshops and webinars for students who are thinking about a health sciences training track.
Mhm.
There also is the UB Pre-Health Advisory Committee that
Yeah.
you would have access to as well. I mean, that's geared toward undergraduates, but I know that those advisors are also available to talk with students who are planning on a medical school track too. So
Mhm.
I think that existing kind of advising infrastructure is there for our students as well.
Yeah, and through those organizations that Beth mentioned, they do have sessions where they invite medical students who did really well, like let's say on the MCAS, to kind of talk about how to go about studying, or they can talk about their application process. It's kind of like the do's and don'ts of what to do. So you will have through those connections, you will have access to medical students who have gone through this application process, and they're always very open to help, very open to kind of engage with you further. So if you go to an event and they're there and you kind of want to connect with them further, that's something that we can be able to help connect you to. But also like these graduate student organization can do that as well.
And then Fatima's question is about connections to the our own MD program at UB.
So, go ahead.
No, you start and then I'll add on.
I was just going to say that the fact if you're doing a master's program to be able to boost your experience and kind of boost your application for medical school, then yes, in that sense, it will help, kind of add that competitive factor. We don't have like a direct partnership with our medical school that says, oh, if students who are interested in medicine participate in our program, they have maybe an advantage or, a chance to get in. But you can also do the work while you're here in the sense of using this opportunity to network and figure out, if this is the environment that you want to be in, because we absolutely want you here, but we also want you to see if you really want to be here. And so it's a good chance for you to, connect with the faculty, the admissions people, the students, the current students, both in the master's program and the medical program, to really find that out. And in that sense, you're learning, and then they're also getting to know you a little bit more.
You guys have great questions.
Uh-huh.
So Queenie, when I said there, what I was talking about was like scholarship opportunities, but you would be eligible as long as you're eligible for like the financial aid programs through the FAFSA, like federal and state government-based aid, that would still be an opportunity for you in this program. We just don't have additional, sometimes students are looking for like assistantship style funding where, we would pay for your tuition or something like that. And we unfortunately only really have those for PhD level students at UB, so not as much for masters, but certainly financial aid, if you still maintain eligibility through the FAFSA and file the FAFSA, then you would be eligible for that aid as well, working through our financial aid office. Well, you've been a really great group. Thanks for all your questions.
Yeah.
We really hope that we'll hear from you again. If not seeing your application, then answering questions maybe between now and then. But do let us know. I've given you our information in the chat. And we will have a recording of this available too, if you ever want to refer back to it or share it with any friends who might be interested. We're going to have those up on our office's YouTube channel soon. So keep checking back and we can send you that link once we've got those up and running too.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
take care, everyone. Good luck as
Yeah.
you prepare your applications. Looking forward to seeing you in person maybe someday.
Yes, it was lovely to meet all of you.
Mhm.